JCT for Education.
Good evening, everyone. This is Juank and Sam, JCT for Education for you. And tonight we're going back to Duolingo. Many of you have heard of Duolingo as a phone application, and we have a special guest right from Pittsburgh. He will be with us. He will walk us through the Duolingo process. I have outstanding questions for him. And just before we go live, I just want to mention that this recording will be housed here on IGTV and actually on YouTube. So if you have questions, you want to go back, please go for it. We will be more than happy to answer questions here live. But for the moment, let's invite our guest. So I remember last year we had 71 lives. We're going every Tuesday, 8 p.m. on JCT for Education, Juank and Sam for you on Instagram. Sam!
Hello.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, brother. How are you?
Okay, I'm doing well. I will try an attempt of pronouncing your last name. So here it goes. Sam Fleischmann.
Beautiful.
Did I say it right?
It was perfect.
Okay, thank you so much.
Perfect. I'm missing something. Hold on.
Yes. So now we're brothers.
Now we're good.
Now we're talking, my friend. So to everybody watching from around the world, hello, thank you. Thank you for joining us. We will have a really cool, entertaining live. I promise you. I know. Sam, how many years have I known you now?
I think 12 years.
12 years. And
12 years.
how long have you been? Were you a high school counselor? And which countries did you work?
Let's see. When we met, I was a school counselor in Singapore at International Community School in Singapore. And then I moved from there to Hong Kong International School. And I was a school counselor in Hong Kong. And when I was in Hong Kong, we served on a board together for International ACAC.
Good. And what do you study?
What did I study? In university, I studied social science education.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to be a teacher. Actually, I was in high school and I knew I wanted to be a school counselor. And to be a school counselor in the state of Washington, you had to be a school teacher first. And so I became a school teacher of economics and geography. And then I got my master's in school counseling.
Good. And for those of you who don't know about Sam, Sam is really good with numbers. What is it, Sam? Why are you so good with numbers on the board? You were our VP for finance. Tell us the fascination. Do you run your finance at home or Noel does?
No, I run the finances at home as well. And with International ACAC, I did VP for finance. I love numbers. I think numbers can tell us a lot. I think it started for me with sports and just thinking about numbers and statistics with sports. But then my dad and I actually used to run a business selling cutlery. And so I did all the inventory and all the books for that when I was like 12. So that got me into the numbers.
Okay. So before we just jump into Duolingo, what's your favorite basketball team?
My favorite basketball team is the Chicago Bulls.
Okay, go Bulls. That's one of my favorites. And now since I moved to Florida, Miami Heat. So Sam,
Absolutely.
I know you travel all over the world with Duolingo. You guys are booming with this era, this year, going into this pandemic, and everybody going virtual has been fascinating. We know Duolingo as a phone application, but a lot of people around the world don't know it as a Duolingo English Test. First of all, the little bird, where is it coming from?
Oh, the little bird, we call him Duo. And so Duo came from, a lot of work when the company just started. The CEO and the co-founder got together and they worked with a marketing agency and they came up with an owl. One of the iterations instead of the owl, the little bird was a robot because the organization came out of Carnegie Mellon University. They were professor and student at Carnegie Mellon University when they broke it off. And so Duo comes from that, and the color green comes from a long story about our co-founder who doesn't like the color green, and so they thought it'd be fun.
Well, it got him out of the comfort zone, I guess.
Absolutely.
And
It's good.
now for we may have students watching from around the world, and his story is inspirational. I know the story, but would you mind walking us through the co-founder's story? That would be really good, and what he has studied and like undergraduate, graduate, and how this came out to become one of the largest language application, and now one of the large. You guys becoming probably soon one of the largest English as a second language provider. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, Luis Van Ahn is our CEO, co-founder, and he's a fascinating man with a great story. And I know you've met him, and you're inspired by him. He's an inspiring individual and a great speaker. Luis grew up in Guatemala, and he went to a private school in Guatemala. And Luis came from enough money that when it came for college application time, he was able to process through the college application process with more ease than his classmates and much more ease than many others in Guatemala. And so when it came to the English language test requirement for university, there were no seats in Guatemala. So this was in the 90s, and there were no seats available for an English language test for him. And so he had to fly to the other country, El Salvador, which is right next to Guatemala. So he had to fly to another country as a 17-year-old to take an English language test. He ended up passing that test, and he went to Duke University to study mathematics. From Duke, he came to Carnegie Mellon. While he was at Carnegie Mellon, there was a contest, so to speak, with a tech company in San Francisco about helping to track and control internet usage so that there was not fraudulent activity. And so Luis came up with what you know today as reCAPTCHA, which is typing in all those squiggly lines to make sure that that you're not a robot and that you are a human. So Luis created that. And then from creating that, he realized millions of people around the world are typing in these little characters. And education is always in the back of Luis's mind. And he said, what can we do with that? We can take all of the books that need to be digitized that artificial intelligence and computers can't read, but humans can read. And so we take all those letters that computers can't read, and we make humans type out T-I-O-V. What we were actually doing was digitizing books so that people all around the world can be able to read books all online. And so that creation is reCAPTCHA, what we know today. It's a beautiful combination of artificial intelligence working with humanity. And so humans and artificial intelligence combine to make a beautiful project, which is making books readily available for everyone to read.
I cannot tell my deepest admiration to Luis, but also the whole team at Duolingo. I mean, he created the concept, and he has a beautiful mind of his own. But just bringing right now the number of employees. How many employees total right now with Duolingo?
Yeah, so after reCAPTCHA, all that stuff, he said he wanted to get back to the heart of what he wants, which is education and making education available for all. And that's how Duolingo was founded. Right now at Duolingo, we teach over 35 different languages, and we have over 350 employees.
Wow. Just taking a pause, I see Liam from Boston University, Jorge Delgado, I see Christian Safi, Maria Cristina Roget, I see Catalina Trujillo, Valenzuela. I see a lot of people connecting in and out. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And I know people are jumping in and out. They are cooking right now, exercising. So we will make sure that it goes very smooth. This year, we've been working with students around 35 countries. And every single conversation to those international students, which English is not the first language, we've been talking about Duolingo to all of them. for many reasons. And one of the reasons that I like is access.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Luis, your co-founder, he traveled from Guatemala to El Salvador, and that's not a cheap ride. Back in the day, I had the opportunity to run for three times. Uh, One of your competitors' test center in Colombia, just three times, and I closed that right away. I had a
Mm.
student that came from Nigeria, flying from Africa through Brazil to take the test in Medellin, Colombia. I had a student coming from Mexico, had a student coming from Argentina because they needed to take the test. So I'm thinking that student from Nigeria, how many thousands of dollars is spent just to take one exam, and it blew me away. So when I first heard the concept of Duolingo, and that was at one of our conferences at International ACAC, that you can
Yeah.
take the exam from home, and the exam, correct me if I'm wrong, is $49.
49 US dollars.
It takes me back to that student from Nigeria that spent at least $3,000 to come to Medellin, Colombia for that test. So that's something that we're gonna focus a little bit on that access component, on those $49 that the student has to pay. But that $49 took some time to build. How long did it take for you guys to build the application, the computer software before it was launched? And when was it launched as DET, Duolingo English Test?
Cool. So in let's see, in 2014, the project began. And the project began when students all around the world, people all around the world, were using Duolingo to learn English and wanted to certify their English and show their mom, show their dad, show their manager, hey, I know English. So that was the impetus for the application. We took about 2 years of research, of building the test, and in 2016 we launched it at International ACAC in Rutgers, New Jersey. And in 2017 is when it really started to gain a little steam. And then I joined in 2018.
Okay. Now, how many thousands of students took it last year alone?
Yeah, so I won't be able to pull out the exact number, but I will let you know that in 2020 we saw like a 2,000% increase
Wow.
in test takers.
Okay.
And
Go ahead.
I would say like the test itself is incredible, and the technology that we've done and what we care about with access, but we were never down in all of 2020. You were always able to take the test. Like
Okay.
we never lost internet. We never lost the ability to offer the test. So it was 24 hours a day for the entire year of 2020.
Okay. Now, I'm your student. I'm Juan Camilo Tamayo from Medellin, Colombia. My counselor told me you have to take Duolingo. Sam
Smart counselor.
is smart counselor, very smart counselor. And what do I do? Where do I go? And how do I sign up? Parents want to learn for their children. They want to send the link and so forth. And let's say the student, because a lot of our students, they come from binational schools. That means that there are
Hmm.
no high school counselors. So they learn through a third party, which is us. So how do they sign up, and where do they go?
Cool. Actually, I got my computer. I'm going to walk you through that a little bit.
Okay.
So let's see if we can switch the camera around, which is a better view for
There is
everybody.
an
I think we
Okay.
got it. How about that?
Yeah, I think I see it. Yes.
Okay. So here you go to the website, englishtest.duolingo.com.
Okay.
And on that website, you're going to see some of the universities that accept the test. You're going to see a little bit about the test. Certify your English, finish the exam in 1 hour, get your results in 2 days, 3,000 different institutions and programs.
Okay.
So here are some of the highlights of it, right? It's convenient. You can take it right from Medellin. You can take it from Cali. You can go back to Nigeria and take it in Nigeria as well. You don't need to fly to Colombia. It is fast and it's affordable. So it's only 49 US dollars.
Okay.
Other tests, depending on where you are. So once you're here, you can see a little bit more about the information. Accurate. You can see that it's accurate. you can see what's required. And this is important, right? That you
Yes.
need to make sure that you have a passport, a driver's license. You need to have an hour of free time where you're alone in a room, some reliable internet connectivity. We'll talk a little bit more about this as well.
Okay.
I just see that our friend from SCAD joined us, my friend.
Hey,
Um,
Christy.
but you need a computer that has a front-facing camera, microphone, speaker. So here's some of the things. So once you want to take the test, you sign up,
Okay.
right? So you sign up. I'm already signed up, so I'm just going to go to the next page. Once you're signed up, I encourage everybody to go to this website here,
What?
englishtest.duolingo.com/readiness.
Okay.
Because if you're going to take a test, you want to be ready for it, right?
Yes.
Well, you know what? Our readiness is all free.
Okay.
If you want to take this $49 English test, it's free. So you go here, you can practice the test for free,
Okay.
or you can access a guide. It's actually going to take you to this official guide for test takers.
Okay.
So you can actually just get there straight from the URL, but if you go through the readiness campaign, you'll be able to see the Duolingo English Test official guide for test takers, and it is 70 pages of tips, how to understand your score. And then, I mean, it's a fair amount of reading, but how the questions are actually scored.
Uh-huh.
So this readiness is key, right? So
Sam,
once you take,
let's wait
yeah,
for a second. I see a student, Marena. Thank you for joining. Marena, please stay here. I need you to go through because Marena will be taking the test. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Sam.
oh, beautiful. Looking forward to it. I see one of my former students from Singapore online as well. So this is fun.
David?
Yeah, David.
Okay. Hello, David. So repeat the website again.
Yeah. So it's englishtest.duolingo.com/readiness.
Readiness. Okay. Perfect.
Once you go here, you can access the guide, which I was just showing you, 76 pages. You'll see a little bit more about the test process, the adaptive testing of it, but you can also take a free practice test. And so when
Okay.
you take a practice test, what happens is you start to take the practice test and make sure that your computer works, and then it loads up. And you actually, you're not going to be able to hear this section because I have headphones on, I don't think.
I heard something.
You hear? Okay.
Yes. Go ahead.
If you're, so this is the first part, right? Well, actually, because the test is adaptive, this isn't always the first part.
Okay.
You have to decide if momer is a real word, which it's not.
Before.
Okay.
Before, that's a real word.
Forteed.
Forteed.
Okay.
Forteed's not a real word.
Okay.
World.
World, that's a real. All right, so then we've done this. Let's say we did the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You go on to the next one. And then,
Okay.
so Gyllenhaal grew up in Los Angeles. She studied at the Harvard Westlake School Prep School
Mm-hmm.
in 95. She went to New York. So this is called a closed test or a C test, and you fill in all this information here.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you've done this, what happens here? If I click next, Wonka,
See?
I haven't done very well. I've only completed half of this. The
Okay.
computer's going to score this and show he's struggling. Or if I actually put in just like nonsense, that's not a real
A
word.
question, because I had a
Yeah.
student today. We talked about this actually today. He already took the test. He scored 100, and he said, "Juanca, the test only allowed me to do it twice, and there is a certain time. What is the amount of time, for instance, for that question that you get from Duolingo English Test?"
Okay. So on this specific question, you'll see there's a timer always coming up here.
Yes.
And so you have 3 minutes, I think, on this test or
Okay.
this exact item type. And so as you fill in this one, you have 3 minutes to make sure you get through this, and then it will go on to the next question. But before the next question appears, we will grade the next question. And in grading the next question, we're going to know whether you got it right or wrong. And if you got it right, the next question is going to be a little bit harder.
Okay. By the way, Kevin Hustler, I think you know him. He says, "Hi,
Yeah,
Kevin."
I work with that guy.
You work with
Absolutely. How
Kevin.
you doing, Kevin?
Hello, my friend Kevin. We're going through a test. Now, you said
Yeah.
the test is an hour long, okay? Uh, how many sessions do we have in this test?
Oh, yes. So there's a number of different item types, right? So I showed you the listening. This is the closed test where you fill in the blanks. We're going to give you as many questions in order to determine what your English language is.
Okay.
So if we can determine your English proficiency early because you've done really well or you've done really poorly, we're going to be able to ascertain and figure out what your English score is, and you'll be able to do that more quickly.
Okay.
But if you're in the middle and you get some right and then you get some wrong and then you get some right and then you get some wrong, it's going to take us a little bit longer. We want to make sure that your score is accurate to who you are and what your English language is. So you might get 7 different item types and you might get them each 6 times.
Okay. Okay.
So it does depend. Every test is different. That's both part of the design, but also part of the security.
Okay. Now let's stop there on technology.
Okay.
I had a student, a special student this year. He took the test 10 times. And oh my gosh, it was very frustrating. Where he lives,
Yeah.
Wi-Fi is really bad. Then it was Wi-Fi, connectivity, it was the camera, it was the microphone, it was the computer. On average, how many attempts a student will do, and if he or she runs into technical difficulties, what do they do?
Cool. I would say I don't know what the number is on average, and I'm really sorry to hear that the technical difficulties for your student caused them to take it 10 times. I think that's rare, and if it was 10 times taking the test for only one actual test, that's very rare. I would say that on average the student
it gives depth to the writing.
It's still going. This section was called the dictation, so I have a minute to type. I have a minute to type what I just heard.
Oh.
But the student that you're speaking about, they had some technical issues. Maybe their Wi-Fi cut out. Maybe it didn't upload right because they didn't have enough bandwidth at the time. If there's a technical issue, they can reach out to our support team. They can take the test again.
Okay.
No additional charge, no issues. But that shouldn't happen too much. We have some things that we recommend, right? Tell mom and dad to get off the TV, tell them to get off the computer, tell them to all read a book. If you can log in and actually plug in with your computer to the Ethernet, that's helpful. But also, simple things like upgrading your browser and making sure that it's up to date.
Okay.
Like if you're using Chrome and you're using an old version, update it.
So do you say use Chrome or Safari? Or
You have to use Chrome.
okay.
Yeah, Chrome or Opera, and part of that is for security as well. So
Okay.
you won't be able to take the test on Safari. You will need to use Chrome.
All right, that's good. No, it was a case that one of my colleagues that is watching right now, we were like, oh my gosh, how many times can he take that test? But I will tell you, our students on average, they will take it 2 or 3 times because they want to also improve their score. So that's one of the reasons why we had students that, and I want you to tell us a little bit about the score scale. We have one student that got 135 points and say, this is fantastic. So let's stop there on the scoring proportion. You mentioned this very quickly, but I want you to say that again. How many institutions in the United States right now are taking Duolingo tests?
Cool. So if we're talking undergraduate programs in the USA, I believe we're over 1,300. No, we're at 1,000. I just looked up. We're at 1,000 different programs and institutions in the U.S. that are accepting the Duolingo English Test.
Okay, now let's go the UK and Europe and Asia, Africa. What's the total right now? And we can answer that question. We can answer that question so students can follow through.
Oh, here's the. Here we go. Here's the question.
Is she reading a book? Yes, she is.
Is she reading
a book?
The book?
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
Okay.
So I put, is she reading the book? Yes, she is. But now I'm going to actually listen one more time.
Is she reading a book? Yes, she is.
Oh, see, and I heard it wrong the first time, and you heard it correct. It's not the book, it's a book.
A book, and I thought I was correct. But
You were correct.
you're the native
So then
speaker, my friend.
All right, so then we have this next one. Record this to yourself, right?
Okay.
We have different opinions. So I'm going to skip that one. We only have 15 seconds anyway. But
Okay.
we have about a university accepts the test, or a high school accepts the test in over 70 different countries
Okay.
right now,
Okay.
primarily in the United States, but also in Canada, the UK, Spain, Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
We have Hong Kong,
India.
Singapore. You know what? India, there's not a lot of universities that have an English language requirement in India.
I have our friend Niraj from India is just joined. Hello, Niraj.
How you doing, Niraj? Yeah, absolutely, from Next Genius. So there's in India, there's not a lot of universities that require English as a second or an English language proficiency. But there are universities and high schools all around the world that are accepting the
But if
Duolingo
a
English
student is
Test.
coming from Africa to study in India, they will require English as a second language for some countries, or maybe from Colombia and so forth. So, I mean, that's coming up.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to the sections on the
Okay.
DET. But what's the lowest score that you can get? What's the highest score that you can get? And let's talk about highly selective universities. What is their score, like an average, and an average score that you see for, let's say, if you're going into a community college, or just walk us through the scoring system, please.
Sure. I'm gonna. So the scores are anywhere from 10 to 160,
Okay.
and in increments of 5.
Okay.
So you can get a 10, a 15, a 20, all the way up to 160. Now, universities all around the world set their own score, whatever is best for them. I would say that there's nobody requiring more than a 135, which is a very high score. A 135 is C1 level. We talk about in CEFR. You're familiar with that, but if we're talking 135 according to IELTS, it's like that's like an 8. That's like an 8. A 135 according to TOEFL is like a 113, 115.
Okay. Fair.
And so no university is really asking for more than a 135.
Okay.
And then universities range down. So Yale wants a 120.
Okay.
And then other universities are going to be anywhere from 135, which I think maybe only one university I know of asks for that high, and it's for an honors level entry, all the way down to like a 60. And if you're at a 60, it's because the university has the English faculty and the English language program to help assist you in the coursework. Because a 60 is not going to be a high enough score to do well in freshman level English.
So a student with 100, what do you think?
I think a student with 100, according to like the CEPR, they're right in the middle of that B2 range.
Okay.
If I was counseling a student with a 100, I'd want to make sure that they were in an environment where the faculty and the staff and the coursework around them was able to help them shine where they're strong, regardless of their English language. And at the same time, their English is strong enough to read all the textbooks, to engage in the classwork, but they're going to have to work pretty hard with it. But I'd want to encourage them to get to the right university, and that's what we're all about, right? Making sure that they get to the right university.
Okay.
Can I show? Oh, you have a question.
No, go ahead. I have one about cybersecurity, but go ahead. Go show us something.
So when you get onto the website and you can search at institutions.
Okay.
You can find institutions. So let's look up Grinnell College. Right?
In Iowa, yes.
in Iowa, you can click that and they should have, the Duolingo English Test information. Just like if you go to Yale and you click Yale, it will take you to their website.
Okay.
And on their website, you'll be able to see their Duolingo requirement.
Okay.
So the Duolingo English Test, and they're looking for scores of at least 120.
Okay, perfect.
So I would encourage your students to really check this out, and if they want to look at, a school like Lynn, they can go and look at Lynn University.
That's where I used to work. Thank you for showcasing my alma mater.
Hold on, let's see if I don't know if absolutely, but so we can highlight that.
Since you're showcasing Lynn, hello to Renee, to our good friend Stefano, also Grinnell College, you just mentioned, John Edwards. Hello to our friends at those institutions. So what's the equivalence of that 100 to the IELTS or TOEFL, if you recall?
Yeah, so 100 equivalent to a TOEFL is 75.
Okay.
And so like I said, a 100, lots of schools want a TOEFL of an 80. So 100 is going to be marginal there. 100 to the IELTS is a 6.
And you guys have those comparison charts on your website?
Yeah, so if, let's see. Yep. So if you go to scores.
Okay.
How am I doing with the camera here?
You're doing well. I see it, and I hope our audience is actually seeing it, and I think it's very interactive until Instagram will create something more hands-on where we can interact with computer like that. But yeah, I can see it.
So like a 60 on the Duolingo English Test is a 4 on the IELTS.
Okay.
A 120, 115, 120 is a 7 on the IELTS.
Okay, already. I see.
And so I encourage you to check out scores. Yeah.
Already. Now, you say that you have the students, before they go and take the test, they can take their own practice test. You have 70 practice tests right there?
So the practice test is adaptive as well. And so it pays attention to whether you get the question right or the question wrong, but we don't have set tests. So as you go through the test, you're going to see lots of different questions.
Okay, already. Yeah. Just want to say, Octavio, thank you for joining us. Muchas gracias, Octavio. Saludos a tu familia. Octavio is another friend from Duolingo, and I see Juan Pablo Alvarez, he just joined. Aquileo just joined. Hello, everyone. You're jumping in really good. Now, let's go. And Aquileo, he's a tech guy. He works for a really cool company. And tell us about cybersecurity. Sam, I have a question for you. Let's say I have my laptop in front of me. This background is good for you guys, or it has to be would you recommend a different background when you're taking the test?
No, the background is fine because we can see your face very well. You have nice lighting going on, and so because you have nice lighting, we can see your face, we can see your whole face, we can track your eyes.
Do I take my hat off when I take the test, or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. I would say your mom would probably say take your hat off when you're doing something professional, but you could keep your hat on, but we do have to make sure we can see your whole face.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's common sense, and I was thinking if biosecurity, this little side will interfere with the face recognition.
So we have artificial intelligence and computer vision that's watching your face and tracking your eye movement and everything else that's going on in the room. But we also have humans who watch every exam. So we have computer, but we also have humans who are monitoring every test after it's been uploaded. Okay,
already. Now let's get into more cybersecurity. I had the opportunity to visit you guys 2 years ago, Pittsburgh. That was February. It was really cool.
It's cold. That was so cold. I'm sorry.
No, it was a gothic city. I thought I was watching Batman when I was there. It was absolutely beautiful. You guys walk us through the city. We had the opportunity to see university campuses, but I was blown away with cybersecurity. I mean, so let's go. And I actually, for those of you watching, I was able to take the test myself. And actually, I did case studies with my team where a group of high school counselors and universities and you guys put us to see if the student, he or she, they were cheating. On my case studies, I think we watched 3 or 5. All of them, they were cheating. So let's talk about. I have my computer in front of me, and we just heard one of your questions, and you have somebody typing it for you. How does the computer recognize that there is somebody up there besides you, and that you are not actually typing, but somebody else is typing the answer for you? How do they know that?
Yeah, so we have, like I said, we have the computer, but we also have humans.
Okay.
And so, the test is an hour long. And so our computers are picking up everything, the sound, the keyboard, the mouse, the eyes, the video, the lighting.
Okay.
We're catching, the computer is looking at all of this to make sure. And so we're doing keystroke stuff. We're looking at 75 different behaviors.
Okay.
Or more. That we're looking at, the computer is looking at, but also the human proctors are trained to look at as well. Also when you're typing, there's going to be a part where you have to speak, and there's going to be a part where you have to type, and we're going to be able to watch you, and our computer is watching you as it's going. So we have proctors, and we have multiple rounds of proctors. So we've got the artificial intelligence proctoring, but we also have humans proctoring multiple rounds to make sure that there's no incongruence. We're looking for incongruence.
That's an SAT word, my friend.
Yeah, C1 level, C2 level.
Hey, so let's have a question. I have the sponsor name right behind. LMU, thank you for sending this over. Thank you. But let's say that I'm taking the test. I am super thirsty. I'm going like this. Is that allowed by your test? Can you drink water while you're taking the test?
Only if it's from an LMU mug.
Okay. What happens if you interfere with a glass of water? Nothing? Computer will let you go?
That's okay. Well, what happens is the computer doesn't stop you in the middle of it for that.
Okay.
The computer is going to check all of that once you've uploaded your test.
Okay.
What the computer will stop you of in the middle of the test is if you're not using the screen and you're like checking Facebook or you're checking another website.
Let's say that I'm taking the test and all this sudden, because a lot of people, we do this, we just watch like this because you're trying to capture your answer from your brain and you're looking like this, and then you go back, then you're looking down and you look like this. Will the computer accept that behavior or not?
The computer will flag it for our humans to make sure and track, but the computer will say, this looks suspicious.
Okay.
This looks like an area that is not right.
So if I go like this, like, and then I come back, that gets a red flag.
Yeah, if you did that one, I'm not on the proctoring team, but
okay.
I think if you did that one, that's no bueno, my friend.
It's no bueno. No, I'm just thinking. It is fascinating.
But you're right though. We a hard question gets asked to us, and we think, oh, what is that? Right? That what I just did and what you did is very different than this.
Okay. Now,
right?
Technology is really good. You and I were using earbuds because it enhanced the sound. Let's say that you're taking the test on a Mac, you have your Bluetooth sync with these little earbuds. Is that acceptable or not?
Sorry, my friend. No headphones.
No headphones. Okay, that's good to know, and that's really, really good to know. Thank you. So the students, they have to make sure that the environment is very, the silence is just impeccable. I mean, that you're dropping on pretty much a nail and you hear the sound. That's what you're trying to transmit, right?
We want to make sure that that student is alone in the room. We need to be able to ensure that the student is the one who's taking the test without support or help, so that the university can trust that exam. And that's the reason why. Yeah. Okay.
Now let's go back to cybersecurity and access. we're moving on our civilization is moving very fast. And I'm thinking our dear friend Rebecca in Zimbabwe and our colleagues in
Yeah.
Africa, colleagues in Colombia, even in the United States, they don't have the computers. They have tablets or they have phones, smartphones. Can you take Duolingo on a smartphone, tablet, or not yet?
Not yet,
Okay.
not yet, and I don't know when that will be available,
Okay.
if at all. And it comes down to the security, as you mentioned. This you prefaced that with a cybersecurity question. We
Okay.
need to make sure that they're on a computer, so they have to be on the right browser on a computer. Luckily, counselors that we've talked about, Rebecca Ziegler-Romano, who you just mentioned, many counselors are able to open up their offices. And that helps. But yeah, for security, they can't take it on their phone.
Okay. Now, talking about the access and Luis's and Duolingo's mission about offering access, if it's a school that is in need, do you guys offer like fee waivers for students that need to take, and how counselors are watching this live, or they're gonna be going on YouTube and my Instagram account and they wanna watch it? How do they get access to fee waivers to take the Duolingo English test?
Yeah, and that's at the heart of Luis, right? Like to make sure that education is accessible to everyone. So even the $49 can sometimes be a financial hurdle
Yes.
for people. I'm going to show you our website where counselors can go and apply to support low-income students.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. So one, I would encourage you to watch this video. Luis Van
Okay,
On, founder, CEO, and you find that video at this website, englishtest.duolingo.com/access.
okay,
And then a counselor can go here and apply to
okay.
support low-income students. Wonka, last year we provided over 3,500 free tests to
Wow,
counselors and organizations, and we provided over 10,000 free tests
wow.
to universities to give to those applicants. Because just like me, as a school counselor, sometimes my student didn't think they needed an English language test. They think, oh,
Yes.
I'm good. My grades are fine. My SAT score is fine. My mom is from this country. I'm okay. And then all of a sudden, they apply to a university, and that university says, you need to take an English language test.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to make sure that a university who's working with a student who's in financial need, and then the university says, "Oh, Wonka, you need to take a Duolingo English test."
Yes.
The university was able to give that student a free one if the student needs it, and
Okay.
then they can get their results in 2 days.
Okay. Now, we have a really good question from Anna Sustanov. Do you have to pay any extra fee to send your score to universities?
You do not have to pay any other fee. So once you get your results, and I can show you this process as well. We're going to make this as interactive as
Go
possible, and
ahead.
then
Go ahead.
Instagram's going to have to figure out a new technology here. All right. So once you get to your website, right? This is a student's profile.
Yes.
They can take a practice test.
Yes.
They can buy the test. Once they buy the test, they can download the test, and then they get their results. And they click this. So here's their score,
Yes.
135.
Wow, that's a big one.
A literacy score of 130. Now, literacy is the reading and the writing. Comprehension is the listening and the reading. Conversation is the speaking and the listening. And production is the writing and the speaking.
Okay. Okay.
Once they click send results, it comes here. And they
Okay.
can choose to send it to a secondary school or a university.
Okay.
When you send it to a university, you can type here by location. So let's say you want to send it to Australia,
Yes.
and you want to send it to uh, Curtin College in Perth.
Okay.
You click next. You're brought up with this. You click
Mm-hmm.
next, and Curtin College in Perth gets your results for free from you. They get it within a minute from us.
Okay. Now let's go to the other side of the spectrum. The counselor, the high school counselor or teacher or the person administrator from the high school that wants to see the scores, he or she, they have access if they use the school special link, correct?
Yeah, so if you're a school counselor and you want to see your students' scores, which comes with a video interview and it comes with a writing sample that the student took live during the test.
Okay.
If you would like to see that as a counselor, you have to reach out to us. We'll create a dashboard for you. Wonka, you have a dashboard with JCT for Education. We have thousands of counselors with dashboards. When a student takes the test combined with that counselor's dashboard, the counselor is able to help that student by seeing the score, seeing the video interview, and the writing sample.
Can the student with the authorization of the student with the authorization, the counselor with the authorization with the student send a score for the student, yes or no?
No, we don't have that built in.
Okay.
So the student does still need to send it themselves.
Already.
But like I said with Curtin College, I send it to Curtin College in Perth, cool. And then I want to send it to Grinnell the next day,
Yes.
cool, still free. And then I can send it to 10, 15 other universities, no problem, free.
Okay. So the student that scored 100 on the Duolingo English test that we were talking with, and he progresses and just jump into 110, and then the third time goes into 125. When he submitted his scores, let's say he submitted to John Edwards at Cornell, he or she can pick which one to send, correct? The Cornell won't get to see the 110, the 120, or the 120, only the 125 that he or she picked, correct?
Correct. So a student on their platform can choose whichever test they want to send.
Okay, already. No, that's really good to know, Sam, because this gives us a lot of information to the counselors. We get a lot of questions, a lot of students, parents asking us. Now, let's touch upon graduate students. What percentage of your schools are taking Duolingo English Test for graduate school as an English requirement? In general, we can go US or around the world.
So I just looked up on our website right now, Unfiltered Graduate. We have 800 programs.
Wow.
Now, if you're searching in just the USA,
yes,
you're talking 550 plus programs.
Wow, that's incredible.
For graduate.
We work with graduate students, and a few, they have IELTS, TOEFL. The majority took the Duolingo, and to a lot of those institutions that you mentioned. There are some others that still like learning and so forth, but some schools are more conservative. But what do you think will be the conversion for next year or projection for this year of both undergraduate and graduate continue that growth? You had 2% increase 2,000% increase last year, correct?
Yeah, in terms of test takers, we had a 2,000% increase with test takers.
Okay.
I don't think that we'll have a 2,000% increase in test takers this year.
Okay.
But I'd be okay if we did. And you know what? Our system can handle it. And universities around the world would benefit from that, and so would students. In terms of how many more programs, I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm hopeful that with counselor support, with students support, and with universities who have used our test for 5 years, that will start to speak to the credibility a little bit more. Sometimes these universities, they just need to hear it enough from different people. But the team that I work with, Jen Dewar heads this team for university engagement. You know Jen very well. She worked at Duke and at WashU, and she heads this team for university engagement. And I primarily work with Canadian universities and UK universities, but we're going to be hiring somebody in the UK. We're going to continue to expand. We have a handful. Kevin Hostetler's on this call. Octavio's on this call, working with universities all around the world to help them understand that with the Duolingo English Test, they can build a solid class with some really bright students, and they can save students time and money. And so if a university can get bright students from all over the world, saving students some time and money, that's a message that I think starts to resonate.
Okay, already. That's good to know. We've been recommending the test to a lot of our graduate students, and for the scoring purposes, pretty much the same as you just mentioned, and a lot of them they submit the GMAT, GRE. Question about the UK. We are struggling right now with one of our students. The university does not take Duolingo, unfortunately, and IELTS keeps canceling in his country dictatorship, and it's really hard for him to get the test. And the university is adamant that he has to take the IELTS and a specific IELTS. And it's been very frustrated because the answer that we get from the university is that it's a visa requirement. But now we hear from you that there are universities in the UK that accepted Duolingo. So can you help me understanding one university is telling me it's a visa requirement, but you are enrolling universities in the UK that also the students, they have to go through the same process.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good analogy for this.
And I'm sorry for putting you on the spot because it's a very tough question.
I don't mind being put on the spot. You know me well enough. It's technically the university can accept the Duolingo English test.
Okay.
Technically. However, if the UK Visa and Immigration came to that university and said, why did you accept the test? Why did you accept this student? The university personnel needs to have the confidence and the knowledge of the test and the background of the test and all the research, and they need to be able to articulate why they've accepted the test and how they've done their due diligence to make sure that the Duolingo English test meets the requirements of the visa. Some universities are doing that. Other universities are not doing that. But I think partly the analogy that I can come up with is it's not mandatory that students go to bed at 8 p.m.
Okay.
My children, I make them get to bed by 8 p.m. But it's not mandatory that they go to bed by 8 p.m. But it's where we're comfortable. Whereas my neighbors don't put their kids to bed until 10 because that's when they're comfortable, right?
Okay.
And so there's a level of that as well. That's not necessarily a great answer for you.
Okay. I think you answer the question really well. What we're doing to solve this problem, we are advocating through the head of the enrollment office in the UK, and just put a screenshots. Again, you're asking the student to fly to this country, to this country. It's a brutal dictatorship. You cannot leave the country really easily. He or she has the financial means to travel. But why? I mean, why are you asking this kid if universities are all about access to go through this pain? The British Council already canceled the exam twice because they don't even have. So anyway, that's another story. But thank you for empowering us. I know my colleague is watching from JCT for Education. We will follow through, and we will reach out to the person that oversees the admissions and say, listen, you got to help out here. The student is outstanding. They say you conditionally been accepted by the way, you took the wrong IELTS, so you need to do it again. And we have TOEFL, we have Duolingo, and they cannot accept that. So again, our friend Bernardo is here from Hong Kong.
Bernardo is in Atlanta. I think he's in Atlanta now.
He's in Atlanta now?
Yeah.
Okay.
The mayor.
The mayor of Atlanta. Bernardo, remember the Magic Four, my friend, and Christy from Escada, big hug. So, my friend, we got to wrap it up. We have a few minutes left. So, I know that probably Luis and the whole team at Duolingo, you guys are thinking I put you a really hard question like access, and how are we going to help the students with access in countries that they only have smartphones and they only have tablets and they don't have those computers. So I guess probably your team is working diligently to see how you can solve that, because that's the way the world is moving. You see people are using more and more their phones and less their laptops. They're doing everything. I see students writing their essays on these smartphones. My eyes won't take it. I need my glasses for that. They are filling out applications. They are doing all sorts of things through a smartphone. So, what can you share some of the innovation products coming up? Maybe as in the English as a Duolingo English Test, or anything within the brand of Duolingo. Anything coming up? Something cool.
What can I share? Uh,
Yes.
we are continuing to do really cool things. We're doing a research roundtable, which doesn't sound as cool to your students right now, I'm sure, but we're doing a research roundtable with the universities. I would say that from a language learning, we are continuing to push and to make sure that languages are taught. And so Scottish Gaelic came in last year, and that's been great. We teach Esperanto, which is like
Yes.
a contextual. I don't understand it, but it's a language that has been created,
Yes.
right? And we teach Esperanto. We have a member on our Duolingo English Test team who speaks Esperanto and is willing to do presentations in Esperanto. So it's very cool. So we do that. But what I want to highlight in terms of the innovation of Duolingo, and it's core to the mission of Duolingo, is Duolingo ABC.
Okay.
And so Duolingo ABC is a literacy app where we are teaching 2 to 6 year olds the English alphabet and how to put words together. And so we're teaching literacy. And we know that illiteracy is a major issue worldwide. And, you know, just being able to learn how to read, being able to speak English well, these are factors that increase your wealth possibility exponentially. And so we're continuing to push the envelope to make sure that education is accessible to all and break down as many of those barriers as possible. So Duolingo ABC, free to download for your kids, for your friends, brothers and sisters, for anybody 6 and below, and they can get Duolingo ABC. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay. We see Marcela from Chapman University. Hola, Marcela,
Hola,
Camila.
Marcela.
How are you doing? We see a lot of people jumping in and out. Sam, as always, it's been an honor hosting you here on Conversations with JCT for Education. Juan Catamayo for you. Final thoughts, my friend. We have 1 minute left.
Final thoughts. You told the story earlier about a young man who had to fly from Nigeria to your hometown in Colombia and paid $3,000+ to take an exam. There's only one reason I think that is ever worth it, and that's to spend time with you. And so if you were in Colombia and he spent the $3,000 to take the exam and hang out with you on the farm, then that's worth it. But
Okay.
other than that, I think if we value education and if we want the best for our students, whether they go to Japan for university or Australia for university or the US for university, or they pick up a trade and teach other people how to do that trade, we need to make things accessible to all.
Okay.
And we're working hard on that.
Sam, you're always so smart. You always have a good comeback. You always have the right words at the right time. And I really thank you for being here. We admire you. We respect you. You have a beautiful family. Please send our
Thank you,
regards
brother.
to your 3 children, your wife, and the family at
Okay.
Duolingo. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your innovation. We can't wait to see what else is in the store. Like any organization, that nothing is perfect, and sometimes things don't work, like this kid that took the test so many times, but for the most time it works really well. And I just want to say from
Absolutely.
the bottom of my heart, thank you for sending this beautiful shirt. It's one of my favorites, and thank you for wearing JCT for Education, man. Salud.
Absolutely, brother.
Buenas noches.
I just saw a friend from my very first international travel to Venezuela in 2004.
Wow.
Kayla has joined
Oh,
us. So this
Kayla,
is
that was Kayla. Okay, Kayla.
This is very cool for me to see somebody I met 17 years ago on my first international trip in Venezuela. So thank you for hosting these. My pleasure to be with you. Hakuna Matata, my friend.
Hakuna
Love you.
Matata, and I see Miguel Osorno. Miguel, you have to take Duolingo. We're pending on your Duolingo test. It's one of my students. Take care. Buenas noches. Hakuna Matata. Gracias.
JCT for education.